They're welcome to Take a Bite, the show where I make some food and talk about films. I don't know if it's because we've passed the anniversary of the onset of the dread times, but I don't feel so hard. Things are due to open up. I feel both excited and unsettled by this. Talking to friends and strangers? How would I? Why would I? The only things I'm excited about right now are going to bookshops and going to the pictures. Maybe going to a spa. Talking to years-long friends? No. Lying prostrate on a table while a stranger rubs me? Yes, please. When we're in this mode, all we need is comfort. Comfort film and comfort food. So, I'm turning to the house of Pixar for one of my most fave comfort films of all time. I'm gonna try and make the Ratatouille from Ratatouille. A movie whose entire raison d'etre, because it's set in France, is comfort and joy and solace in food. I've poodled about a bit and I've seen a few other people try and recreate it, and they always do such a fantastic job. Not here. This is me we're talking about. If you've been around for a while, you know to start holding your breath right about now. If you're new here, enjoy these final few moments thinking I'm going to be in any way successful. But God loves a trier, and I'm nothing if not trying. Right then, I need to go and get the ingredients, which is a hunt that is slightly wider than my normal trip to the shops because I'm in search of a particularly elusive vegetable. While I do that, I'm thrilled to say this video has a sponsor, so let's head over to Dan with the ad read. Dan? Thanks, Dan. This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. And you can start learning right now. Well, not right now, I want them to finish the video. You can start learning after this video. I've been taking the Cooking with Intuition class from Julie Yoon, which is all about trying to tap into your instinct as a cook and freeing you up in the kitchen. Sometimes I get a bit frazzled by leftovers and ingredients and what to do with the withering cabbage that I know is in the back of my fridge. So this class has been a really great way for me to break out of my head and forget the rules, as it were. And I hate food waste, so getting creative with leftovers is all good in my hood. If watching me faff around in my kitchen makes you want to get into yours, then take a look at this class. Or have a gander at the thousands of other classes that Skillshare has to offer. Whether you want to fend off boredom, focus on self-care through creativity, or join a like-minded creative community, Skillshare is the place to keep you learning. The first 1,000 people who click the link in their description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, and after that, it's only around $10 a month, so have at it. Now back to Dan and the main video. Dan? Thanks, Dan. You join me at a crucial moment as I prepare to take my attempt at the Ratatouille from Ratatouille out of the oven. How did it go, I hear you ask? I hurt my thumb. Up until then, it had been going pretty well. I will say, the vegetable I was searching for was a yellow courgette. I have found them in one place in my entire life, and that is a small greengrocer's in Crouch End. I can't go there at the moment, so I've had to make do with a normal boring courgette and aubergine. As a result, it doesn't necessarily look like their ratatouille. It's a homespun version, alright? I have some nice kitchen stuff, but I don't have everything. I don't have a mandolin, I don't have a processor. I could get them in the future if you sign up to my Patreon. I think Remy would respect the hustle. Anyway, there's about 20 minutes left on the timer. While we're waiting, why don't I walk you through what I did? Voiceover, Dan? Thanks, Dan. The base of this dish is a delicious pepperard sauce, so I started by halving 3 peppers and de-seeding them, then brushing them with olive oil and popping them under a high grill for about 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I was finely chopping an onion and crushing a bit of garlic because I just couldn't help myself. They went in a pan over a medium heat to sweat down until they were really very soft indeed, and at that point they were joined by a tin of chopped tomatoes plus water I swilled, the can out with, and a couple of bay leaves, for good measure. Once the peppers were done and cool enough to touch, I peeled their skin off and chopped them up, which is the polite thing to do. Then I added them to the pan and let it all bubble away happily until it was nice and thick. I left that to cool while I chopped my boring regular courgette, a nightmare of a tomato, an aubergine, and my thumb, but I won't show you that. Then I whizzed up the sauce until it was smooth, plonked it in a baking dish, and got to laying the vegetables in the dish. I mean, that looks nice. It doesn't look like Remy's, but I put this on a table. I tried to create a vibe in this video where everything is a little calmer than normal, slow, peaceful, because when I think of Ratatouille, that is the vibe I get, that is the energy I feel. However, contained within the film is an element of chaos, an element of mess. To that end, it's time to plate up. Now, as mentioned previously, I don't have all of the bits and bobs, the accoutrements, because it's French, that will go into making this look the way Remy had it. Usually you put it in a little ring and then lift the ring off and it's nice and perfectly circled. That option is not open to us. I'm thinking maybe a jar. Or, here's an idea. Within my bubble is someone who eats the little dessert pots and keeps the ramekins. And I've always been like, why? This is why. Yeah, let's try it. This sounds good. What could possibly go wrong? So I've got to get a layer of this. I'm already ruining it. Maybe I didn't put these as close. I like put them close together thinking like, well, this is about as close together as they should be. Maybe I was incorrect. Let's get nice and neat in there. Yeah, probably fine. Okay, right, sure. Here we go. It doesn't quite look like Remy's. It needs a lid. Oh no, it's fucking aubergine. Aubergine is gloopy. I won't lie. It's not there. I'm weirdly happy with this. Now, I'm not a professional chef. I don't come from a lineage of professional chefs, nor do I have a small rat on my head. But the point of the film is that anyone can cook. The presentation, 0.3 of a star. So let's see. Is it true? That tastes fucking delicious. Well done, me. That was sensational. Let's go talk about the movie. What transition can I do? I know. Very good. Okay, let me tell you why I love Ratatouille. First of all, the animation is beautiful. The rendering of Paris, the kitchen, the dining room, the exteriors, the cobbled street, the landscapes. When he climbs up that drain pipe and sees Paris for the first time, oh my god. The food, whether it's the millefeuille that's been dumped on that pile of rubbish or it's the ingredients in that beautiful big fridge, all of it just looks so delicious. Even relatively simple moments when Linguini and Remy are by the river, there's something almost ethereal about the way that scene is animated. This film is littered with magical realism, and when you combine that beautiful animation with the score, it's all just so welcoming and encouraging and invites you in. It's almost a hug of a movie. The central premise, Gusteau's line of anyone can cook, is just a lovely sentiment. Although Gusteau espousing confidence and self-belief in others, but being so crushed by one mean comment that he literally dies, big mood. Just the notion of someone in the public eye putting out an inspirational quote and buckling under the pressure of their inner saboteur. Hard to relate. The nuance of the animation. When Remy is explaining how the kitchen works, there are certain ticks and responses that he makes that feel so natural. It is sublime. I'm always on the lookout for this thing I call little acting, which is where an actor makes a small, almost imperceptible choice in a delivery of a line, in a reaction, but that tiny choice informs so much about the character and about their motivation, about their moment. There is little acting within the animation.
Komi, they're cooks. Very important.
Ah, you are a clever rat.
It is wonderful. And oh, I love everything about Anton Ego. The typewriter in the shape of a skull, the office in the shape of a coffin, and every delivery that Peter O'Toole makes.
Perspective. Popular. This bloody town. Monsieur Boyardee.
Touché.
What a spectacular character. This film, however, is not beyond reproach. First of all, Disney and Pixar making a snide comment about the relentless pursuit of commercialism at the expense of art is fully hilarious. The use of narration is a difficult line to walk in film, and for me, in Ratatouille, sometimes it undercuts the emotional impact of a scene. I find that both Remy and Linguini are deeply unlikable. Remy is a tiresome snob, and Linguini is the epitome of white guy falling upwards. Fortunately, basically all the other characters in the film are so likable, and the rest of the movie is so wonderful that it doesn't actually matter. With that in mind, there are scenes with Remy and Linguini, for instance when Remy cooks him breakfast, where I am utterly charmed by their relationship, and that's what led me to my new take, and I'm not claiming ownership of this take. I haven't done the research. I don't know if this is out there already. It probably is. But it is now my opinion that Remy should be a silent character for the entirety of this film. First of all, there is no need for his family storyline. It definitely adds to that idea of I'm not like the people around me, I don't feel like I fit in, which is something that I think this movie is very special for, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But really, you can achieve that without having any need for the family, and if you don't have the family, he doesn't need to be able to talk. It's already established in the film that Remy and Linguini can communicate, and in fact, through the bulk of the film, especially the scenes that I find the most charming, Remy is communicating through mime, and the humans are translating for the audience. It's already in there. I don't know if there was a fear that Western audiences maybe wouldn't be able to keep their focus if there was no talking in the first 15 minutes while we take that time to establish Remy as simply a rat who lives in Paris and goes about day to day watching the food and watching the chefs cook and subsequently isn't like other rats. There's a 1993 Tom and Jerry film, which was the first time they attempted to do Tom and Jerry in a feature film, and they made the decision to have them talk. And as a result, they don't really feel like Tom and Jerry. And that kind of happens here. It almost feels like the Remy who is miming with Linguini and with Colette is different to the Remy who is talking to the other rats. They feel like two distinct characters. And I think that's what makes the narration even more frustrating, because when the talking is unnecessary to begin with, extra talking on top of that, which is unnecessary for the emotional impact of the scene, feels even more. It's unnecessary on top of unnecessary. Unnecesception. I'll retire now. My friend Chloe, who is an animator and an illustrator, brought to my attention that Pixar could have easily drawn from an arsenal of animated silent films, ironically, most of which are French. There's Belleville Rendezvous, there's The Illusionist, hell, even Pokemon. Pikachu became one of the most widely known characters in all of media across the world, despite only ever saying his own name. And even that is full of emotion. If you don't feel anything in the first movie when Pikachu cries over Ash being turned to stone, you are a sociopath. That's just science. I just think Remy being silent would have made the whole film even more charming. However, with all of that said, warts and all, I still think this is my favourite Pixar film. When you try and boil down what the film is about, it's a celebration of passion, of the joy of food. It is literally the reason I started to learn to cook. That visual representation of taste and flavour combinations, almost synesthesia. I remember seeing that at the pictures and something clicked in my head and made me go, maybe I'll start to learn to cook. And so it's really precious to me because somehow cooking has become a part of what I do for a living. In fact, this whole series, this whole concept of videos that I make exists because of Ratatouille. That fusion of film and food, two mediums that are somehow intrinsically linked and both bring us intense comfort. It is an unapologetically romantic and idealistic film. The setting, the music, the animation, all of it coming together to create this warm, welcoming, encouraging vibe that says, it'll be hard, but you should go for it because when you pursue your passion and one or two people have your back and believe in you, the world feels like a magical place. Anyone can cook. A great cook can come from anywhere. And all of it is distilled perfectly in the choice of ratatouille as the dish that Remy presents to Ego. Colette literally says,
"It's a peasant dish."
And Remy takes that peasant dish and turns it into haute cuisine. Ego takes one bite and is transported from this fancy restaurant to his rural cottage and his mother's kitchen table. The message of the choice of that dish is that anything can be anything if you choose to look at it that way. We are the ones that assign value and importance to things. That things are only precious and exemplar and special because we deem them to be so. And that can apply to a Michelin star meal or a plate of vegetables cooked with love by someone who loves you. Ego's final monologue is, I think, one of the most beautiful and moving pieces of cinema. Delivered spectacularly by Peter O'Toole, God rest him. What an incredible voice. What an incredible performance. What an incredible 2 minutes of dialogue. It's so thoughtful and gentle and encouraging and humble. There's a line in Kinky Boots, of all the comparisons to make, that goes, you can change the world if you change your mind. And that's the sentiment of this film. The film says, yes, you, dreamer, pursue it, follow it. You may feel at times like a square peg in a round hole, but it's your passion that defines you. But it also says, you, kingmaker, dreamweaver, power that be, open your mind. Because talent has no prescribed characteristic. It looks like anyone. It comes from anywhere. And with opportunity and an open mind, anything can be anything.